guys, I'm Jonathan White, and I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so that you can attract your ideal life. So sex energy and success are deeply connected. There's a strong relationship between our sexual energy and the success that we have in our lives. So in Napoleon Hill's books, he talks about how men often do not experience success until much later into their lives, in their 40s and their 50s often. And he says that this is because at this point in their life, they stop becoming focused on sex and engaging in sexual activity, and they start to direct that sexual impulse into their work, into their business, and into their worldly expansion. And this is when they start to have great success. But you don't have to wait until later in your life, because you have this force available to you right now. And if you're young, you have even more of this energy. The trouble is, most guys, when they're young, they have so much sexual energy and they're horny all the time, and they can't contain that strong charge. They feel the need to relieve that tension, and so they do this by engaging in masturbation and ejaculating, or having lots of sex and ejaculating, and this depletes your sexual energy. And when a man ejaculates, he loses his life force. He loses that sexual energy, and it takes some time to recover and rebuild that. And this is very apparent by the way you feel right before ejaculating, when you're strongly aroused and your energy is just super powerful and expansive. And then after you ejaculate, it's gone, and you're limp and you're tired and you need to sleep. So most people, I've noticed that the two most common ways people are not tapping into their sexual potential, the barriers that they have are problems of draining their sexual energy. And then the other problem is the repression of this sexual energy. So draining, as I just said, when a man ejaculates, he loses this charge. He loses that masculine essence every time he ejaculates. And when you're constantly looking at porn and you're ejaculating, you don't have this buildup of sexual energy. And this may be hard for some people to believe, because most guys are just used to ejaculating every day, and they just think that that's how it is, and they've never experienced going at least like a week or even a few days without ejaculating, because there's a tremendous shift that happens when you start to retain your semen and you build up this energy. It changes you. You have more energy, you have more hormones, you have more testosterone, you have more drive, you have more influence in the world around you. You become magnetic. It's incredibly powerful when you start to build up the sexual energy and cultivate it. So most men are not experiencing that. They're engaging in too much sex and too much masturbation, and they don't have the energy that they need because they're living in a state of depletion. And to bring things into your life, you need to be putting energy out to the world. You only get back what you put out. So when you're living in a state of depletion, then you're often living in a state of lack. You're not receiving the resources you need. And so, and I want to make a clear point here, as I talk about a lot, that you can still have sex, you can even masturbate if you want, without ejaculating. And therefore, you experience all the orgasms and the benefits of sex, but without that depletion of ejaculation. And this is, in my opinion, actually the way to go, because the orgasm and the orgasmic experience is so important to us as humans. When we're orgasming regularly, it actually changes our DNA. It changes the ways our cells multiply. So we're literally rebirthing ourselves every moment. Our cells are having sex and creating new cells. And the state that you're in is the state that you are creating more of, that you're rebirthing yourself from in every moment. So if you're living in a state of fear, a state of depletion, tiredness, then your DNA, your cells are operating on very low frequencies, and you're going to replicate that. So that's why it's easy to get stuck in these negative patterns. But when you start to live in a state of joy, of flow, of passion, and when you're orgasming regularly, your vibration's very high, and your cells multiply much healthier, and you become much healthier and much happier, and you have much more energy. So it's sexual energy is so huge. This is the biggest force that we have available to us to work with, and most people are just so unconscious with it. They don't even realize this source of power that they have and could be working with. And I want to change that. And so the other way people are often sabotaging themselves and not achieving success is because they're repressing their sexual energy. So there's a lot of religious and cultural influence and sort of stigma around sexuality. People feel guilt about sexual expression, and they repress their sexuality. They don't allow it to be expressed within them. And this when you're literally holding your sexual energy down, when you're sort of shoving it into a closet and trying to contain it, you're damming the river of the life force. And this leads to stagnance in many other areas of your life. You're not going to be happy, you're not going to be fulfilled, because you're containing your life force. You're shoving it into a box and not allowing it to flow freely. So this is just asking for all kinds of problems and blockages in your life. And another point I want to make here is that often people who are practicing semen retention and celibacy for the wrong reasons, they run into this problem. Because you can eliminate sexuality and sexual activity from your life if you really want to, but you need to learn how to keep your sexual energy moving while you're doing that, or else you're going to get very stagnant and it's just not going to be very enjoyable. And you may have times in your life where this sexual energy you've repressed, it springs back up, it releases, and you may do something very strange and very inappropriate because of this. So it's so important to be conscious of your sexuality and your sexual energy and be able to work with it harmoniously and express it in a healthy way. Let it move throughout your body, let it move throughout your relationships and your interactions with the world. And you will be much more fulfilled and find much more success in your life. When you're living in that state of repression, again, you're missing out on that orgasm and that orgasmic energy, which is so healing, so nourishing, and so expansive for us. Orgasm is what created the universe. It is really the pinnacle of our existence, is that orgasmic state. And when you try to remove that from your life, you're going to be operating at a much lower frequency than if you allow yourself to orgasm regularly. And again, the key point here is that for a man, ejaculation and orgasm are not the same thing. You can remove the ejaculation and still experience the orgasm. In fact, you can experience much better orgasms because the ejaculatory orgasm is so limited. And when you have full body orgasms where you're just pulsing this energy through your entire body, it's so much more powerful and so incredible. Your sexuality is nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing inherently wrong or dirty about sex. It's one of the most powerful drives we have, and for a good reason. It's in our nature to be sexual. It's in our nature to express ourselves with sex. And when you block this aspect of your being, many people, even people who are sexual, they still have subtle layers of blockages within them, and they're still not experiencing the highest potential of orgasmic flow because they have tension. A lot of men are blocked in their hearts. They're afraid to experience emotions and connect with their partner on a deeper level. So they have this they're literally cut off between their heart and their genitals. So they have this limited orgasm. It's all down here, and it feels good, but it's not near the full body orgasm that you could be having. When your sexual energy is high, when you're radiating with this sexual power, it is such a powerful force of drive in your life. And sexual energy amplifies everything. It amplifies your relationship with your partner. It amplifies whatever you put it into. And when you're able to put this into your career, into your creative projects, and this is what all the masters are doing. They're channeling their sexual energy into their business, into their creative outlets, into their relationships. Whether they're aware of it or not, this is the key to success, because that energy is so powerful and it just magnifies everything, and you will just be so much successful in whatever you're doing when you are channeling your sexual energy into it. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I highly encourage you to learn to work consciously with your sexual energy and really experience your highest potential in life. So check out my website, jonathanwhitelifestyle.com, to learn more about how you can really become empowered in your life. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave a comment below. Have a great day, my friends.